Welcome, everyone. I'd like to begin with a puzzle. Why would Google spend billions of dollars developing some of the world's most advanced artificial intelligence models and then give part of that technology away for free? At first glance, that seems irrational. Training large language models requires enormous investments, and research talent, data centers, specialized hardware, and energy. Conventional business logic would suggest that Google should charge as much as possible for access to those models. But what if Google isn't really selling AI models? What if the model is only one component of a much larger strategy? Today, I will argue that we are witnessing the next great platform war in computing. The previous platform war was fought around personal computers and operating systems. The next platform war is being fought around AI models, agent runtimes, cloud infrastructure, developer ecosystems, operating systems, and increasingly the AI-enabled personal computer. The companies involved are familiar names: Google, NVIDIA, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Anthropic. But they are not competing in the way most people think. To understand what is happening, we need to begin with a brief look back at the history of computing platforms. In the early personal computer era, the most valuable asset was not the hardware itself. Hardware rapidly became commoditized. Different manufacturers produced machines with similar capabilities. What mattered was the abstraction layer that sat above the hardware. Microsoft Windows provided a stable platform that insulated software developers from the complexity of thousands of hardware combinations. Developers could target Windows, users could run applications. Hardware vendors could participate in a common ecosystem. Windows transformed from a product into a platform, and that distinction is important. Products generate revenue, platforms generate ecosystems. Once a platform becomes established, powerful network effects emerge. More developers create more applications attract more users attract more hardware vendors and complementary services. Those complementary services make the platform even more valuable. The platform owner captures value from the entire ecosystem. This pattern has repeated throughout computing history. In the personal computer era, the operating system was the strategic control point. In the web era, browsers and search became strategic. In the mobile era, app stores and devices became strategic. In the cloud era, APIs and hyperscale infrastructure became strategic. Today, we are entering a new phase, the era of agentic AI. The key question is no longer who owns the application. The key question is who owns the environment in which intelligent agents operate. This brings us to a remarkable statement made recently by Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA. He suggested that the new operating system is essentially the old operating system plus large language models. That is a profound observation. Traditionally, operating systems managed files, memory, devices, and applications. Future operating systems may also manage agents, models, permissions, tools, and autonomous workflows. In other words, AI is moving from being an application to becoming part of the platform itself. We can see this shift becoming concrete through initiatives such as NVIDIA's RTX Spark architecture. NVIDIA and Microsoft are investing heavily in transforming the personal computer into an AI-native platform. Modern AI PCs provide extraordinary local computing power. They offer large memory capacities capable of supporting sophisticated AI workloads. They integrate AI acceleration directly into the hardware architecture. But perhaps most importantly, they position the computer as a place where agents can execute tasks on behalf of users. Traditionally, users operated software. You opened Excel. You opened Word. You clicked menus and buttons. In an agentic world, the interaction model changes. Instead of issuing commands, users express goals. The agent determines actions. The agent accesses files. The agent invokes tools. The agent coordinates workflows. The user increasingly supervises rather than directly performs every operation. This changes the strategic importance of the personal computer. The device contains local files. It contains personal context. It contains credentials and permissions. It becomes an active participant in the AI ecosystem rather than merely a terminal connected to the cloud. As this transition occurs, the computing stack itself changes. In the traditional model, applications sat at the top of the stack. In the new model, agents sit at the top. Beneath them are model runtimes. Beneath those are security systems, identity systems, and permission frameworks. Beneath those are AI accelerators and hardware. And beneath everything is a combination of local infrastructure and cloud infrastructure. The result is a hybrid architecture. Some workloads will execute on the device. Some will execute inside enterprise infrastructure. Some will execute in the cloud. Organizations will increasingly use all three. And this observation brings us back to Google. Why would Google release Gemma as an open-weight model? The answer becomes much clearer when we think in terms of platforms. Google is not giving away intelligence. Google is subsidizing adoption. Gemma is infrastructure. Gemma creates developer engagement. Gemma creates experimentation. Gemma creates deployment opportunities. The model itself becomes a mechanism for growing the ecosystem. Gemma is designed to run across multiple environments. It can run on phones, it can run on laptops, it can run on enterprise servers, it can run in the cloud. That portability is extremely valuable in a hybrid AI world. At the same time, the AI market itself is splitting into two tiers. The first tier consists of closed models delivered through APIs. Examples include GPT, Claude, and Gemini. The provider hosts the model. The provider manages updates. Customers pay for access. The second tier consists of open-weight models. Customers can download, modify, fine-tune, and deploy these models themselves. They gain more control, they gain more flexibility, but they also assume greater operational responsibility. Neither model is replacing the other. Both are likely to coexist for many years. The distinction is similar to renting versus owning. At small scale, renting is often attractive. It is fast. It is convenient. It requires minimal operational effort. At large scale, economics begin to change. Organizations start evaluating whether recurring usage costs justify alternative approaches. This is where open-weight models become strategically significant. Importantly, this is not an ideological debate. It is an architectural decision. Different workloads have different requirements. Some prioritize convenience. Some prioritize control. Some prioritize governance. Some prioritize cost. The most successful organizations will likely employ both approaches simultaneously. This brings us to Google's broader strategy. Google's actions can be understood through three objectives. The first objective is commercial capture. Free models attract developers. Developers create applications. Applications create workloads. Workloads consume infrastructure. Infrastructure generates revenue. Google monetizes cloud services, deployment tools, devices, and ecosystems surrounding the model. The second objective is competitive denial. If enterprises choose open-weight models, Google wants them choosing Gemma rather than competing alternatives. Every adoption decision shapes future ecosystems. Preventing competitors from becoming the default choice has strategic value. The third objective is portfolio reinforcement. Gemma strengthens Gemini. Developers who learn Google's tools become more comfortable with Google's broader ecosystem. That familiarity influences future procurement decisions. Developer habits often become future platform standards. What's particularly interesting is that NVIDIA and Microsoft are pursuing a complementary strategy. Google is making deployable models available. NVIDIA and Microsoft are redefining where those models execute. Together, they are pushing toward a future where intelligent agents operate across local devices, enterprise infrastructure, and cloud environments. This brings us to the central slide in the presentation. The real platform war is not model versus model. It is stack versus stack. Google controls cloud infrastructure, Android, Chrome, Gemini, Gemma, and custom AI hardware. NVIDIA and Microsoft control CUDA, Windows, AI accelerators, and the emerging AI PC ecosystem. OpenAI controls enormous developer mindshare and frontier model leadership. Anthropic maintains a strong enterprise presence built around trust, safety, and high-quality reasoning. Each organization controls different parts of the emerging stack, and each organization's strategy reflects its underlying business model. This explains why OpenAI and Anthropic behave differently from Google. Google can afford open models because it monetizes many adjacent layers. OpenAI and Anthropic derive a larger portion of their value directly from premium model access. Technology strategy follows economic structure. For enterprises, this leads to an important conclusion. The key question is not, which model is best? The key question is, which platform should this workflow live on? That is ultimately a much more important decision. As leaders evaluate the future, there are several indicators worth monitoring: developer adoption, local AI capability, governance frameworks, model portability, cost curves, and ecosystem lock-in. These factors may prove more important than short-term benchmark rankings. My prediction is straightforward. Model leadership will continue to change. Platform leadership will be much more durable. The companies that own execution surfaces, developer ecosystems, infrastructure, and distribution channels will possess lasting strategic advantages. So let's return to the original question. Why is Google giving away AI? The answer is that Google is not really giving away AI. Google is buying platform position. Gemma creates adoption. It drives infrastructure demand. It reinforces Google's ecosystem. It prevents competitors from dominating the open model landscape. And it positions Google for a future in which AI becomes the next general-purpose computing platform. The question facing enterprises is therefore not simply which model performs best today. The more important question is which platform will own their workflows tomorrow. Thank you very much.